So let's talk about AI. It's completely rewriting the rules of the workplace, and it's happening way faster than anyone really expected. I mean, this isn't some science fiction future we're talking about, it's happening right now. The big question is, how do we get our teams ready to not just survive this shift, but to actually come out on top? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. The urgent, absolute need to upskill for the age of AI.
To really get a feel for the speed we're dealing with, you've got to understand this concept called the half-life of a skill. It's basically the time it takes for a skill you've learned to become half as valuable as it used to be. Right now, that's less than 5 years. But get this, in the tech industry, it's a shocking 2.5 years. Just let that sink in. Something you mastered just a couple of years ago might already be on its way out.
And you know, that reality forces us to ask a really critical, maybe even uncomfortable question. And it's one every leader needs to be thinking about. Look at your own organization, your own team. Are their skills about to expire? Yeah, it's a blunt way to put it, but the pace we're at demands that we face it head on. This isn't just some problem for the HR department anymore. This is a core strategic challenge for the entire business. To navigate all this, we first have to appreciate the sheer scale of this disruption. You know, we're not talking about small tremors. We are in the middle of a full-blown AI skill quake. And what that does is it turns upskilling from a nice-to-have perk into an absolutely non-negotiable strategic imperative.
This chart really lays out a huge paradox sitting at the heart of business today. On the one hand, you've got a staggering 93% of companies saying they expect to be using AI within 5 years. But, and this is a big but, look at that gap. Nearly 2/3 of those exact same companies admit their current workforce just isn't ready. There's a massive disconnect between where companies want to go and what their people can actually do.
And ignoring that gap, well, it comes with a pretty hefty price tag. This isn't some theoretical risk down the line. Inaction leads directly to real-world consequences, like your big AI projects stalling out, watching your competitors just pull ahead, and even opening your company up to all kinds of new security threats because your team doesn't know how to use these new tools safely. So, the solution here isn't about choosing one type of skill over the other. It's all about balance. We need a two-pronged approach. First, we've got to develop the technical skills so our teams can work with AI. And second, we have to double down on those uniquely human skills that let us work beyond what AI is capable of. Let's start with the tech side.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the technical side of the equation. This is all about mastering the fundamental tools of this new era. And here's a really critical point. These skills aren't just for your IT department or your data scientist anymore. They're for everyone.
A basic understanding of technology is quickly becoming non-negotiable in pretty much every single role. We're talking about 4 key areas here: a basic literacy in both AI and data, a solid awareness of cybersecurity, and at least some familiarity with cloud computing, which is really the backbone for most of the AI tools we're using today. Let's just zero in on AI literacy for a second, because it's truly the foundation of everything else. Now, this doesn't mean everyone needs to become a programmer. Not at all. It just means understanding what AI can do, what it can't do, knowing its limitations, and learning how to interact with it effectively. Honestly, even just learning how to write a really good prompt for a tool like ChatGPT is a core AI literacy skill.
Now, for the other side of that coin, and this is the part that, ironically, is becoming more valuable every single day. As AI starts to handle more and more of the routine, repetitive tasks, we have to focus on the irreplaceable human touch, the skills that algorithms just can't replicate.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The World Economic Forum puts this into a really sharp perspective. With a powerful projection, analytical thinking is on track to be the single most sought-after core skill by 2025. That is a fundamentally human capability, one that AI can definitely help with, but never, ever replace.
And it's not just analytical thinking. It's about critical thinking to question an AI's output. It's creativity to innovate beyond what an algorithm might suggest. It's emotional intelligence for amazing teamwork and client relationships. And it's strong leadership to guide people through this massive change. These are the skills that are going to truly differentiate human talent going forward.
But look, teaching new skills is only half the battle. If your company culture isn't ready to embrace them, all that training just won't stick. And this brings us to what might be the most critical element of all: fostering an adaptability mindset and building a culture where learning isn't an event, it's just the way you operate.
The contrast here is just night and day. You have a fixed mindset, which resists change and treats failure like it's the end of the world, but a growth mindset, which is really the only one that's going to work in the AI era. It embraces change. It sees failure as a lesson, and it treats learning not as a one-time thing, but as a continuous, lifelong process.
This is exactly why adaptability is the true meta skill of this era. It's like the master key that unlocks all the other learning. It's this powerful combination of resilience to bounce back from setbacks, flexibility to pivot when you need to, and agility to learn new things quickly. This is the foundation that everything else has to be built on.
Okay, so we've covered the why and the what. Now for the most important part, the how. This is a simple 4-step framework that any leader can use to build an effective upskilling action plan, starting right now.
The framework itself is pretty straightforward. It starts with an honest assessment. You have to know where your skill gaps truly are. From there, you personalize the learning paths, because we all know a one-size-fits-all approach just never works. Then you have to share that knowledge through things like mentorship to build a real community. And finally, and maybe most importantly, leadership has to lead by example, actively modeling this new culture of learning.
And let's be crystal clear on this. This entire process absolutely has to start at the top. When executives and leaders champion learning, it sends a powerful signal to everyone else that this is a real priority. This means managers have to evolve too. They need to shift from being simple taskmasters to becoming true learning facilitators who actively help their teams grow and develop.
Ultimately, all of this really boils down to one final question about your culture. To thrive in this new era, you have to create an environment that feels safe for people to try new things, a place built on experimentation and failure. So ask yourself, is that the kind of culture you're building? Because that is the only environment where a truly future-proof workforce will be born.